Hi, and welcome to Photo News TV. I'm your host, Will, and today I've got the brand new Tamron SP 85 f1.8 Di VC USD. This is the newest prime from Tamron. Very versatile portrait lens. Full-frame shooters have always loved the 85mm focal length for portraits because it gives you just enough distance, great working space, and some phenomenal background compression. So a lot of times it prevents you from shooting off a background. 85s are always favored for their bokeh as well. Really, some of the best 85s out there have got really creamy bokeh. The fall off between what's sharp and what isn't is really smooth. And this new Tamron 85 is no exception. I've been able to shoot a lot of portraits because of course that's what it's meant for, and also some food shots. So running through the background are some of the sample photos that I've taken with the new Tamron 85. I'm really impressed with build quality. It feels solid in my hand, just like the 35 and 45, although it is heavier. It actually feels a little heavier than the new 90 macro. And a lot of people are wondering, why did Tamron release an 85 1.8 as well as a 90 2.8 macro? And the difference is mainly in that f-stop. The macro is a 2.8, which really you're not using at 2.8 anyways. Most times with a macro you're stopping down f11, f16. So it's designed for a different type of image. It's a lot sharper at closed down apertures. Whereas the 85 1.8 is really sharp wide open, and that's where it excels. You'll notice it's a 67mm filter size. They include a hood that just locks on. I was able to do some photos with neutral density filters as well, in studio with strobes. Really ran it through its paces. And what I was pleasantly surprised by was the speed of the autofocus. The AF on the new 85 is crazy fast. I actually had to check myself a few times. I was shooting even with neutral densities. I had my subject locked. Here's the shot. I had focus locked right on her, but I couldn't believe that it was that fast. So I spun the focus dial, which nicely ribbed, just like the 35, 45 and the previous 90. It's a nice hard rubber, very good grip. So I spun it out of focus, hit the AF button on my camera, and again, it just locked focus. So really impressed, because one of the things I noticed with the 35 and the 45 was that they were slow focusing. And the reason for that I discovered was just the range of focus. They're able to focus very, very close to the lens, out to infinity. So that seemed to affect focus speed a little bit. Whereas the 85, because it's a portrait lens, it doesn't have that close focusing capability. Again, that's what the 90 macro's for. So close focusing on this, if we look at the scale, it says just over 2.5 feet or 0.8 of a meter, and that's about right in practice. Whereas the macro is, if I recall, it's only a few inches from the front of the element. When you put the hood on, you're focusing within a couple of inches of the front of that lens with the macro, which is what a macro should do. Whereas with the 85 1.8, I found that it wasn't focusing that close, but at maximum magnification. So here's a shot running through. I've got really nice crispy details in the eyes, lovely fall off with the nose falling back through the ears. So I'm getting a nice tight headshot, all the detail where I want it, and nice and sharp. So I was really impressed with that. The AF speed, the sharpness, of course, shooting wide open. As with any lens, you stop it down, it gets a touch sharper. Vignetting was very well controlled on this lens, and really for a portrait lens, eliminating vignetting is not what you're looking for. A bit of vignette always adds just a touch more focus to your image, draws your eye into your portrait subject. And I didn't find that vignetting was ever an issue on this. The center of the lens is nice and bright. There's a lot of glass in here, so that leads to having all those sharp, crispy details right in the center of the lens. And the light fall off on the outside, it kind of matched the bokeh. Everything was just nice and smooth. I was really impressed. The one thing this lens has that the Canon and Nikons don't is vibration compensation. Tamron's put image stabilization into their prime The 35 and 45, it was nice to have, but vibration's a little less pronounced at the wide angles, whereas when you're shooting with something that's in that mid-telephoto range, like an 85, the image stabilization becomes a lot more important. So I was able to handhold, down to a 20th of a second, a 15th of a second. Lots of stabilization there. I shot a little bit of video, and with that I found that by keeping my AF on button depressed and keeping that VC active, it was able to give me nice steady video. So that's a great advantage of the Tamron 85 over the competition, is having that image stabilization built in. So as you've seen from the photos, and you'll see more of these if you go to PHOTONewsTV, you can get the high-res samples. Nothing touched in Lightroom on these, they were just brought in as RAWs, no sharpening applied. Really impressive image quality, both sharpness, bokeh, vignetting, all really well controlled. I didn't really look at chromatic aberrations, but if it's anything like the rest of the new Tamron primes, CA is very well controlled, but you do have the B-bar and E-band coatings from Tamron to prevent internal flare and ghosting. So image quality was exactly what I expected from this new Tamron. It matches the most recent SP primes. This is territory that other companies have been doing well in, but Tamron now is starting to really push the envelope by creating great glass with stabilization to make them more versatile for photo and video shooters. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the results you get with this lens. Great price point, especially for the features and the image quality. Knocking on the doors there, this is a great piece of glass. I've really enjoyed my time with the Tamron 85. You can check it out at a photo retailer near you. If you want to stay on top of more info like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and stay in touch. We've got more great content, some how-tos, other product news. So click subscribe, follow along. Also visit PHOTONews.ca for more great info. Subscribe to the magazine for free. Hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great day. Happy shooting.